What's good, YouTube, and welcome to the house. Not a T channel, not a rulings channel, just House of Champs here to explain a situation that has happened at YCS Knoxville and how to kind of go forward with this ruling. This ruling is very confusing, and I've actually run into it on a live stream and talked about it on a Market Watch. We're talking about instant fusion and destruction during the end phase. Now at YCS Knoxville, it was ruled that instant fusion would only check for destruction once and then no longer. So why does this matter? Well, more and more we're getting cards that protect cards from their own self-destruction. Mainly with, many top cut slots, Orcas, and Dengirsu being able to have that natural protection for something you'd want to keep on the field, such as a floodgate that shuts down your opponent from being able to special summon for just the cost of a cup of noodles. So, let's read Instant Fusion. I believe this is one of the most recent texts. Pay 1,000 life points. Special summon one level 5 or lower fusion monster from your extra deck, but it cannot attack, so that is permanent. Also, it is destroyed during the end phase. So, the end phase, how this is worded, would at first give me the thought that, well, this is only checking during one end phase, the end phase, but how it's actually worded for Yu-Gi-Oh! Rulings, the end phase means it's going to continue to check and continue to check. So even if you save it from that initial destruction, it's going to check the next end phase and the next end phase. It's going to continue to try to do that because of how Yu-Gi-Oh! Works. Even though instant fusion is gone, even though it was intended only to bring it out for one turn, it's going to keep trying to drag that monster to the card graveyard. Also, this special summon is treated as a fusion summon. That used to give people problems. You can revive the monster with, say, Monster Reborn after it's been sent to the graveyard. So if you, link summon away with that window, you can revive the window with a Monster Reborn. You can activate one instant fusion per turn. So Dengirsu gives you the ability to actually protect by detaching one material from the card instead of letting your own cards be destroyed, even by your own card effects. So your window brought out by instant fusion gets protected by your Dengirsu and acts as a floodgate against your opponent during the next turn, but at the end of the turn, it's gonna try to get drugged back to the graveyard once again. This is also important because Cherubini's a card, so let's say they have a Winda and a Cherubini. Should the Cherubini get run over, the Winda's going to end up dragging itself to the graveyard as well. Now, I'm a little biased here, I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty good friends with this head judge, but I also think if I take my bias away, I look at the situation, he's handled it better than any judge I've ever seen a judge handle a situation like this in the modern era. He owns his mistake, he does everything. Let's read through the response of Josh Bavarnik. This is in the Judges Lounge, a group specifically for ruling help, etc. Hi guys, head judge of YCS Knoxville here. I want to take a moment to address all of the instant fusion questions I've been seeing pop up. Let me start by saying, yes, at YCS Knoxville, we ruled that instant fusion would only attempt to destroy during the first end phase. This was a group decision made by myself and the assistant head judges of the event based on a lot of different factors. Like I said, for myself, I'm interjecting my own thoughts here. I thought that, it was created and intended for one turn as well. While I won't get into the specific factors that influenced this decision, I just want to remind everybody that the rulings given at an event are only valid for that event. In an ideal world, rulings would not change event to event. However, there are a lot of different things that come into play, one of which is absolutely human error. It is because of that fact that judges such as myself can make mistakes that this disclaimer exists. This allows us to correct our mistakes and /or adjust things as new information /changes become available. Josh completely owns his own mistake and does a wonderful job wording it and owning up to it. He doesn't toss it off on anybody else who might have talked during the discussion. He doesn't go into the factors. He says, I was head judge, this is my ship, I own this. And I love that Josh does this. I've never seen, I don't think, in the history of this game, a judge just own something like this and make a PSA to say, hey, this isn't how it works. So let's continue on before I give more of my own opinion. I'm just excited about this whole situation and seeing this level of connection to the community from somebody that works so hard for the game. With that said, I would largely ignore the ruling from YCS Knoxville and proceed with the assumption that instant fusion will attempt to destroy at every end phase. As always, ask the head judge of an event any question you may have to make sure you're on the same page. Most Tier 3 events have a Q&A session during pre-registration. If you're not able to make that session, try and get to the venue early when registration opens so you can ask your question and make your decisions accordingly. Decisions meaning like deck building, how you're going to play, what to prepare for at an event. I apologize for the confusion that we caused the community and hope to see you all at an event in the near future. This is what the community needs from its leaders. This is amazing. Josh actually just coming up, owning the situation, telling the correct information. Everything is so yes from this. This is amazing, and this is what the community just needs so much more of. Now, dissecting this a little, like I said, it's a group decision, so he's not throwing anyone under the bus. He takes it, it's his own ship. But he also says, in an ideal world, rulings wouldn't change from event to event. This has happened in the past, and we'll touch on that in a bit. But yeah, human errors are a thing. Judges are people like you and me. Many people, whenever these situations come up, they start to put themselves in the shoes of the players because they are players, not the people who service the community. A lot of people have one bad experience against judges, and they hold all judges accountable for it forever. These are the cornerstones of our community. These are what we wouldn't be playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Without. Judges who sacrifice playing. Josh has YCS tops. Trust me, he would love to be playing events, but he sacrifices that for the community and does such an amazing job. Yes, a head judge with YCS tops. Isn't that an amazing thing? So he's been a player, so he comes from both sides, which is maybe why he was able to get this connection, right? Like, be able to discuss this with the community without holding himself back in different ways. Like, this is amazing. And so he also touches on something very important that I don't see touched on enough. There are always judges sitting there that will answer tough rulings during pre-reg. And if they can't answer your question, because I've gone up to them and had questions they can't answer, they'll say, check back with us tomorrow. We're actually going to write this one down. We're going to talk about it tonight and discuss it. So this is one of those very tough rulings that they probably had to do it because they said they had to talk about it at a meeting. So basically, they have to decide that night, do their research, try to get in connection with people. For me, when I brought this on the Market Watch to make sure I was right, I talked to MST TV, and he said that he believed how I was wording it was right, and that it would keep checking for destruction. And initially, I didn't think that either, so I made the same mistake. I found the same corrections through somebody else. Luckily, it wasn't while I was head judging an event. But Josh, you handled this amazingly. This is 1,000,000% what the community needs more of. Now, I told you there's other situations, right? This isn't an isolated incident if you're new to Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's go over, like, the old lose one turn. Back in the olden days, at the 150th YCS, there was a ruling that it would stop things even if they'd leave the field, so, like, Ulti Kanahawk wouldn't get its effect off the field. So much so that they end up rewording lose one turn. The old one reads, activate this card only if you currently control no special summon monsters. During the turn a monster is special summoned, negate its effects. If an effect of monster or monsters is special summoned in attack position, change it to defense. So by how the old wording works, you might think it would actually stop something like Kanahawk, because it doesn't say, like, if it leaves, whatever. So lose one turn becomes worded differently to activate this card only if you currently control no special summon monsters while a monster is face up on the field. Big difference there. On the field. Negate its effects during the turn that monster was special summoned. If an effect monster or monsters is special summoned in attack position, change it to defense position. So, basically, Cleefworts at the 150th YCS got a huge boost thanks to how this was, like, different from the OCG and how people were ruling it, even though, like, people had like, the know-how that lose one turn worked, how its reprint wording from the Mega Pack is the one on the, I guess it should be the right of y'all's screen. I don't know if it's flipped while I'm looking at it, but basically, it should look like this one, right? Like, it should work like that one, and everyone knew it worked like this, but at the YCS, they ruled that basically Ritual Beast got smacked around by this. But again, I just want to say, this happens. I love this bridge to the community Josh has given us. I think it was a very hard ruling that not everyone was going to get it first, and people didn't even get it when I explained it in my comment section before. It's a tricky thing when, you know, newer situations come into Yu-Gi-Oh! That do things that weren't common before. Protecting your monsters that are supposed to die versus a card worded a certain way that you wouldn't think would continue that way. I think y'all handled it well. Things happen. I know everyone wants a perfect game of Yu-Gi-Oh! People love to, like, nitpick, say people, like, cheated when they messed up, that sort of thing at events. You want a perfect game of Yu-Gi-Oh! As a watcher and as a player, but it's a lot easier to take yourself out of the situation and shoes of others and just reach that conclusion. I want to see this continue with Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of, hey, reach out to us, tell us what's up, tell us how to prepare for the future, own your own mistakes, and keep on judging. Thank you so much, Josh. And everybody, please subscribe if you haven't already. Please give this video a thumbs up if you just enjoy this open discussion and enjoy kind of the outreach that they gave. And let me know what you think of the situation. Like, I get also that it's frustrating as a player to show up, know your rulings, and it end up different. That's one of the most frustrating feelings as a player, but it's gonna happen. No matter what, throughout Yu-Gi-Oh! History, it's happened before. It'll happen again. It's how it's handled, I think, is most important. Thank you so much for watching.